Are you ready to be great? Stop letting self-doubt, insecurity, and fear prevent you from building your business. This morning, wake up to success. Here's John Preston.
Good morning and welcome to Wake Up to Success on this Thursday, October 7th, 2021. Today we're going to talk about that inner voice. We all have it. We all have an inner voice that's an absolute jerk. It thinks it's trying to protect us from preventing us by taking risks or telling us we can't do the things that we want to do to be successful. But we all know it fights us daily. We all have it. We all deal with it. And your ability to be successful is all determined by how well you can quiet that inner voice. So today we want to talk about something that probably scares a lot of you because it sometimes involves numbers. And I know a lot of people aren't math-minded. But in order to fight that inner voice, which is a purely emotional, driven by fear voice, we have to use logic and data. And that's why it is so important as an entrepreneur or a small business person or any type of person out there who's selling or connecting to people and trying to generate your income. It is so important that you track your data because then you can make good judgments without having to deal with the emotional fear from that inner voice. Almost every industry, every business has certain metrics that are considered their standard. How many calls does it take to get an appointment? What's your closing percentage? What's your revenue per sale? Those kind of things, those data points are very, very important. Now, the one I'm most familiar with is the company I work most often with called Best Virgin Media. I work with a lot of publishers out there who are trying to track, and that inner voice comes into play. And I'm going to use this as an example because I think it really outlines what we deal with. Our metrics within Best Virgin Media are it should take 15 phone calls to get one appointment. Now, that doesn't mean that, you have to talk to 15 people. Sometimes they're busy signals or voicemails and things like that. But the metric's 15 to 1. And so I often will talk to these small business owners who will be very frustrated because they feel like they're on the phone all the time and they're not getting the number of appointments they think they want to. And it's that inner voice screaming, "You suck, you suck, you suck." We all hear it. That voice is in all of us. And we'll have a conversation. And the first thing I'll ask them is, well, what's your data look like? How many calls does it take? And I'll hear something like, "Oh, I called all day yesterday and only got 2 appointments." And I'll say, "Okay, well, how many calls was that?" Probably 80 or 90. I don't know, a bunch. And I will ask them to go back, pull out their phone log, and track their numbers. And what we will see is that they made 16 phone calls, which means they're actually very, very good making calls. But they didn't feel that way. Now, they weren't lying to me. They honestly felt like they made 80 phone calls because that's that inner voice inside of us that's driven by fear and doubt and all of those kind of things. And it wants to convince us that we're not capable of great things. But we have to fight that. And you fight that with data. Can you imagine the damage that could have been done if for this particular person, I worked with them to develop a better phone script, a better way of presenting, and I ended up making it worse because I was thinking they had a problem when they didn't really have a problem. Those kind of situations happen for every entrepreneur, for every salesperson, for every person who is on their own without someone else holding them accountable. Is that inner voice tries to convince them that things are bad when often they're not. And if you know your numbers, if you know your data, you know the truth and you can shut that inner voice up and do the things you need to do to be successful.